Okay, so this is a DSI XL blue. I'm going to be doing the final testing protocol on it. Just looked up the information I had on my computer, sort of a record I keep of the motherboard. I don't have any known issues. And then here on this sheet of paper that I keep with the console, I left that I should check the L and the game card slot. These most likely just from the first round of testing. I was having issues with those two things. Looks like I cleaned the L button just to make sure that it still works. So first thing, I'm going to take it apart. Looks like I need to get a stylus for this guy. I have this one right here. I'll just quickly brush it off. Just a little bit of hand grody. Nothing that won't wipe off. That turned out pretty good. Slot that in. Okay. So I'll go ahead and take the back cover off. So I'm mainly taking this apart just to confirm the motherboard number matches my records. Which it does. I also want to take the opportunity to add some Kapton tape on the digitizer ribbon connector as well as the backlight ribbon connector. Now from the factory, Nintendo had tape over those connectors. Not entirely sure why, but I'm guessing they had it there for good reason, so I'll go ahead and replace it. Since usually when I take them off, they usually have some dirt under them, or depending on how the console came to me, they're usually in pretty rough shape. So it's just easier for me to just dispose of the old tape and put on new stuff. I'm guessing it's just for friction, or additional, like, means of holding down that little clasp so it doesn't come open due to impact or vibration. The rest of the tape I just put over here, no real reason, just to give it a purpose. It's not hurting anybody when it's sitting over the mic connector, but yeah, something like that. Just over those two connectors. So now I can get this all squeezed back together. I'll get the battery back together. And then what I'm going to do is go ahead and check the L button and the game card slot. And to check the L button, I'll use R4 card, load it up with some software. Diagnose SE or diagnose. Now it looks like the L button was successfully cleaned. It's responding to all my inputs. I'll just check the R button while I'm here. Yep, I would say that the L button survived the cleaning and needs no further attention. So for the game card slot, I'll grab a pile of shovelware games to throw at this console to see how it reads each card. Some cards are more difficult to read than others. So Crafting Mama, all of my consoles can read this very easily. Reads just fine. And then what I'll do is I'll put a little bit of pressure on the card and shift it from side to side. As you can see, Crafting Mama doesn't vanish. Let's try Bejeweled 3. Most of my consoles don't have a problem with this card. Sometimes they do. Popped up just fine. Doesn't disappear when I shift it side to side. Go Diego Go. Also same. Ooh, I may have pressed a little too hard there. Okay. Wonder Pets is supposed to be my difficult card. The one that has, if a console can read this and survive being shifted side to side, it can read anything. That has since been taken, or that title has since been taken by the Dog Whisperer and SpongeBob game, which I have next. But right now, Wonder Pets reads just fine. So SpongeBob is one of the cards that was having... Yeah, you can see it vanishing. I'm less inclined to think that this is a console problem, and it might just be a cart problem. It might be something with that card. I might have to clean the pins. Dog Whisperer is kind of the same way. I did use it to clean a card slot recently, so maybe... It did pop out once. So basically that shifting of side to side, usually you would never touch the game card while it's in. But I found that shifting it side to side like that produces the same result, or it produces sort of a similar reaction on if you were to hit the back of the console like this. You can see the card's not disappearing. But you could see that if the card disappears, if you accidentally bump the console, that would cause a problem. Mainly being if you're playing a game and the card disappears, the console will either freeze or just shut off. Unpleasant. Had to deal with that with one of my consoles. At the time I didn't know what was going on, so it was good to figure that out. So for this one, you can see it disappeared right there. So I'm inclined to believe it's this game card that's the problem, and not my console. I'll have to do a cleaning on it. I won't really... Well, I'll do a cleaning on it, and then I will test the game card slot as I start going through my paperwork here. It read all my other game cards just fine. I'm inclined to believe that the game card slot is good. I'm just going to grab some 99% rubbing alcohol. Stick it in my little cap. I'm just going to grab a Q-tip. There's one pin in here that looks pretty grody. So I want to make sure it gets really good. That might be the entire problem, it's just that one pin. Okay, I think I got it. I'm not going to be able to test this card until it really dries. I've kind of noticed that if the game card or the game card pins inside the console are wet from alcohol, that they're a lot more sensitive than they would be if they were completely bone dry. So I'll shelf this for a moment and start going through the paperwork here. So, console color, this is a blue, midnight blue specifically, but there's only one color of blue. Shell number WW422206806. Motherboard serial number 1821601 U01E OR7 negative A04. Battery test lasted 4 hours and 25 minutes. For the software version, haven't gotten that yet. Find that in settings. .4.5U, which I understand that to be the last version, or the most recent version. Okay, so I'll start going through the checklist here. Motherboard and power board. Console turned on. So let's go do a proper test of the tactile buttons, which I'll do through diagnose. And what I'll do is just press each button 5, 10 times, kind of however I'm feeling. Face buttons are usually almost always good, unless there's something really wrong with the board. And it looks like that L button's still good. I have no problem with the R button. Go back, and then I am gonna mildly test the mic in here. You can kind of see it's responding to my pokes, so I know it's good because I tested it before I put this thing together, but of course I'll be testing it through more thorough means here in a moment. Just making sure that, yeah, it still works. So now I'll be testing touchscreen next. Using an application I don't know the name of. Basically, this gives me a whole bottom screen to work with, because if I were to use Flipnote Studio on a console that I recently just factory reset, I'd have to go through a really annoying tutorial. I don't want to go through a tutorial, especially with the amount of consoles I deal with. I don't like going through tutorials. Nice big circles, no jagged artifacting as I get close to the edge. This is a pretty good lower screen. This is actually an OEM screen. I think I did notice some scratches on it. I'm not really looking at it that closely quite yet, but I would say a few light scratches on an OEM screen is pretty darn good. Okay, next is speakerphone, microphone, and headphone jack. Now when I do my battery testing, I have to run the console at full volume, and I'll usually run that full volume through headphones because the battery tester plays a song and I don't want to listen to a song for 4.5 hours. So what I did is I put in a SD card that has a song loaded up on it. No, I don't want to go the flip note. These apps are arranged strange. I have a song loaded up on that SD card. This sort of serves the dual purpose of testing the SD card slot as well. Which Gorilla's Feel Good Inc. shows up. I hear it playing. Now what I'll do is put in my headphone jack and test each headphone real quick. Yep, and it's coming out of both headphones just fine. Then microphone. La 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 la. Yep. Microphone played that just fine. So all the sound systems work, and the SD card system works. So let's go to the camera. I just press one of the shoulder buttons. Not sure. There's like... Okay, that was just my light. Okay, I saw some strange, like, streaks going across it. You can kind of see it right now. But that's just coming from my light I have right here. Huh, that's weird. It must just be the way I have it positioned. Never seen it that before. Either way, both screens work. Charge port, I failed to grab a clean one. I have a big box of them that I've been pulling from that I usually wipe down. So I haven't wiped this one down, but this is be the one I'll use. So I'll just have to wipe it down before I actually get it through. Get it sold. This one looks like it's in good shape. It has some goobers on it. That's why I like to wipe them down. So what I'm going to do is take this. I'm going to kind of take it somewhat off screen here. And to test the charge port, I'll show what I do with another charger. Just to make sure it works on the one I include, because that's the most important one. Okay. I'm going to have to put that up here so I remember to wipe it down. So what I did with that charger, I'm grabbing just a stray one that I have unfurrowed and what I use for testing. So I plugged in the charger all the way, solid green light, and then I rotate it. The charge light doesn't go out. That's important because that's how I can identify whether or not there's broken solder joints on the charge port or if there's any broken solder joints on downstream components. Because that's a very easy thing for me to fix. Maybe not so easy for other people. Charge port works. Now we get back to the game card and SD card slot. So I'll continue that test I was doing before. I'll just restart it. SpongeBob will be the last one I do. That will be kind of the keystone, or the last one, whether or not it completes or not. I'll kind of make the determination from there. Dog Whisper, ever since I cleaned a game card slot with it, it's been behaving. Yep. Wonder Pets, the usual hard game. Just fine. Go Diego Go. Yep. Bejeweled 3. Yep. Crafting a Mama. Yep. Oop. And SpongeBob. So I am less inclined to think it's the game card slot. Okay, I just took it out and put it back in. I am shifting this side to side now, and it's not disappearing. So why the console didn't read it at first, I actually don't know, but seems to be doing okay right now. Again, if this was still showing the same problems, I would be more inclined to think it's still a problem with this game card, being that I just read 5 without fail. So either way, I'm okay with this. It read my SD card just fine, so I can check off both slots. So let's get the screws back in. Get it wiped down, get the screw covers in, get it wiped down, and then we can go ahead and do the condition assessment. You go away, SpongeBob. I don't want to deal with you. Oh, and the last test on my little sheet here is Wi-Fi. I can't quite do that right now because I connect to a hotspot on my phone with my phone I'm currently using as my camera. So I'll get that off screen. The Wi-Fi, I've never seen the Wi-Fi fail, so I have no reason to believe this one is going to be the first. Alright, screw covers. Let me grab my pillbox full of them. This console's in pretty good shape, so I'll try and find screw covers that match that condition. More or less. They're either in good shape or horrible shape. There's not much in between. This will be kind of a pain, but here's a stack of 4 right there. And a stack of 2. These 2 look pretty good. Make sure I don't take any with me. Right. I'll get these separated before I start gluing. When they have their adhesive still, they do like to hold on to each other. It's like a lot of these ones still have their adhesive on. It's pretty surprising. Usually those come off with the screws. Okay. So for the top screen screw covers, what I'll do is grab a trusty bottle of Elmer's glue. Let me sort of take off this dry glued cap that's at the top of the bottle. And what I'll do is just squeeze it very lightly until glue starts to come off, and then I'll just kiss the top of these screws. Basically leaving little to no glue on the top of these screws. Basically, I don't want it, when I put down the screw covers, I don't want the glue oozing around it, making a mess. And since these screw covers don't experience any mechanical stress, they don't need to be held down by much. Grab the screw cover with my metal tweezers and then a plastic pry tool to kind of encourage them into place, because like even right there, there's a little bit of glue oozing out on this one. used a little too much glue. It'll wipe up, thankfully. I'll grab a little corner of my paper towel here in a second. I use both the metal tweezers and the plastic pry tool so I don't accidentally scratch the shell with the metal tweezers. Okay. Also helps me align them a little. Gonna hit this one a little with some rubbing alcohol. Okay. Now the 4 on the bottom. Same protocol. But since these screw covers actually experience some type of mechanical stress, as you're most likely going to be placing this console down on a table, the screw covers will be kind of depressed, squished and stuff. Where those upper screw covers, they probably won't ever be touched again. Unless, God forbid, these consoles need to come back apart. Hope not. But because these bottom ones get a little more attention, as in they actually do touch things, I put a little more glue down. Just a bit more. You don't have to worry about the problem of it oozing out, but I'd rather them be secure. These ones seem to still have their adhesive pads on it, so that'll help them stick down as well. That one went in a little sideways. There it goes. Okay, we'll get this out of here. Okay. Let me sort of look at them, just trying to see. None of them are fully sunk down in the shell. They're all sticking up just a little. That's kind of the intention. I think this one went in just a little crooked. Looks good. So now I'll take a microfiber cloth, and I have a little container of distilled water. All I'll do is just get a little bit of water in the syringe, dribble it on my microfiber cloth, and then just give this thing a good wipe down. Just basically to get off all my hand oils and fingerprints from when I've been putting these consoles together and testing them. I'm not usually a fan of wearing gloves, so this is really the only stage that I'll do it. Yeah, I can already see those scratches on the bottom screen. Not bad, but they definitely don't look great. But with a screen protector on, it shouldn't get any worse. Take a dry paper or dry microfiber cloth and then just kind of go over it one more time. Okay. So this will be a kind of a tough console because on this top shell there's a little bit of white around these edges. That was because I did a attempt of polishing this top shell, which I would say wasn't worth the effort. This top shell piece is still pretty scratched up. So we'll just go ahead with the condition assessment with that in mind. So the physical condition of the shell, there is the polishing compound around these edges, which is just impossible to get out. Just that's where this like clear glossy piece is like laminated to this blue piece. I've never actually separated these two pieces, but I bet if I tried, it would not survive. I don't even want to think about it. There are some good little spots of scratching. There's a scratch right there. There's a line right there. Just scratches everywhere. Looks okay around the hinges. There's a mark right there. It's very light. It's a sort of an impact mark right there on the corners. Or on the corner. Scratch right there below the volume buttons. There are some marks back here. It looks like there's like a pry mark right here next to the battery door. Scratch right there. Scratch up there. Some little marks kind of everywhere. Discoloration around the D-pad, as well as the face buttons. I kind of take this as a sign of this console, or at least this shell was loved pretty good. Get around the screw cover a little better. Ooh, that one didn't set down all the way. Thought I would pushed it pretty good. Aside from that, I think the shell's in pretty good shape. I'm gonna say very good. I'm not really too happy that there's polishing compound here that I can't get rid of, but it's not much. It's not harming anything. It's not any more ugly than scratches. And the rest of this is in very good shape. Light scratching on top. Glossy remains of polishing compound. Scratches on bottom shell. and discoloration around face buttons. Physical condition of the hardware. There's a pretty good mark here on this R button. Some scratches on the D pad. I'll give it a good. Oh, it's a 1. Marks on R and L. Scratches on D-pad. And it almost looks like I was kind of aggressive with that because this might be a little hard to see, but there's almost looks like there's a little chunk taken out of it too. I can't feel it through my gloved hands, but maybe that's something that would be noticeable. I actually don't know. The screw cover's kind of bothering me. Okay. Physical condition of the screens. So I can already kind of tell that the top screen also has some scratches on it as well. I'm just going to try and... all the little specks that are coming down on it are dust from the environment I'm in. There I see like maybe one really light scratch right there, but like... I don't even... yeah, there you can kind of see it. One light scratch on the top screen, and then the bottom screen has obviously seen some use. I think because the top screen only has one scratch, bottom screen has quite a few. Trying to think here what I should give it. I really don't see a reason why I can't give it a very good. So I think I might stick with that. One scratch on top. I don't think it's bad enough for me to go down to a good. Screen condition. Let me turn off my lights. I think my lights kind of play a role in how I sort of interpret these screens. So turning them off I think is the best. These look pretty good. I would almost say the top screen is maybe just a touch more red. But wow, not by much. Like just looking at that through the camera, like that's really close. And that's really all I can ever get to, is just as close as I can. Sometimes it works out better than others, but unless you're really looking at bleach white screens, you really won't be able to tell. I'll say that the top screen is just like a touch redder. So I will knock it down 1 point. Very good. It's a touch, not reader. Redder. Yeah, words. 8, 29, 24. So 2, 4, 6, 7, which scores it a good. I think I'm okay with that. It's not perfect, and it just being 1 point below very good, I'm okay with that. Because there are just a lot of little flaws here that say that it's not really great, but it's by no means garbage. I'll get the Wi-Fi off screen before I actually sign off on this. Let me just double check my notes here. Both of these checked out. I need to wipe off the charger, which I'll do that here in a moment. So what I'll do here is actually get ready to do my condition assessment video. Just kind of going over the checklist in my brain here. But yeah, I think this guy's good to go.